The HOA president stood in my driveway at 2:47 p.m., phone out, filming my panic as my pregnant wife bled on our kitchen floor. And 8 cubic yards of dirt she'd dumped blocked the only way to the hospital. 20 minutes earlier, Veronica had fallen, clutching her 7-month belly. Our baby girl Riley was in danger. Every second counted. But Rhonda Ashford had made sure we couldn't leave. What Rhonda didn't know while she gloated? My wife's father was chief of police for Portland's East Precinct, and he was about to teach her that some battles you don't walk away from. Have you ever dealt with someone so drunk on power they'd risk a life over $10? Has your HOA ever crossed the line from annoying to dangerous? Have you watched a neighbor abuse authority while everyone stayed silent? This HOA president thought she controlled Elmwood Drive, until she discovered her victim's family controlled something far more powerful: justice. Stick around to see how a $10 mailbox fee became manslaughter charges and a lifetime of regret. If you've ever been bullied by an HOA tyrant, smash that like button. This Karen faces consequences she never saw coming. Let me take you back to where this nightmare started. 3 months before that rainy Tuesday that changed everything. The violation notice appeared on my door on a Thursday morning. No warning, no conversation, just a $50 fine and a 7-day deadline. My name is Bennett Cole. I'm 34, teach 4th grade at Riverside Elementary, and my wife Veronica and I had just bought our first home. A modest 2-bedroom with a white picket fence on Elmwood Drive in Maple Ridge, Oregon. After 8 years in cramped apartments with paper-thin walls and neighbors who played drums at midnight, we finally had something that was ours. The neighborhood looked perfect. Tree-lined streets, lawns trimmed to military precision, sidewalks so clean they gleamed in the morning sun. Neighbors waved when we moved in. Everything felt right. Then I found the notice taped to my front door. Violation: mailbox post requires repainting. Fine, $50. Compliance deadline, 7 days. Official HOA letterhead. Signature at the bottom, R. Ashford, President. I walked to the mailbox and stared at it. The paint looked fine, fresh even. The previous owner had just repainted it before closing. I checked the HOA bylaws we'd signed at purchase. Nothing about mailbox paint standards, nothing about inspection schedules. $50 for a mailbox that didn't need fixing. Growing up, I watched my single mother get pushed around by landlords who invented fees and threatened eviction when she questioned them. I spent my whole adult life standing up for what's right, teaching my students that fairness matters, that rules should make sense, that authority doesn't mean you get to bully people. This fine didn't make sense. I called the HOA office number listed on the notice. 3 rings. A woman answered without giving her name. HOA office. Hi, this is Bennett Cole on Elmwood Drive. I received a violation notice about my mailbox, but I think there's been a mistake. Her voice dripped with satisfaction. Mr. Cole, you signed the bylaws when you purchased. Pay the fine or we add daily interest. Welcome to Elmwood Drive. Click. Have you ever gotten a fine that made 0 cents? What did you do? Drop a comment below. I stood there holding my phone, staring at that mailbox, and felt something cold settle in my stomach. This wasn't about paint. This was about power. And whoever R. Ashford was, she'd just picked the wrong guy to mess with. I had no idea how wrong I was about who'd picked whom. She appeared at my door at 7:15 a.m. on Saturday, clipboard in hand like a weapon, smile that didn't reach her eyes. I opened the door in my pajamas, coffee mug halfway to my mouth. Mr. Cole. Not a question, a statement. I'm Rhonda Ashford, HOA President. We need to discuss your compliance issues. She was maybe 52. dressed in a pressed pantsuit on a Saturday morning, pearl earrings catching the light. Real estate agent, I'd learn later. The kind who'd held the HOA presidency for 4 years because nobody dared run against her. Mrs. Ashford, I was actually planning to call you. That mailbox fine doesn't seem... I don't appreciate your tone on yesterday's call, Mr. Cole. She stepped onto my porch without invitation. This neighborhood has standards. If you can't maintain them, perhaps you should reconsider your purchase. My coffee went cold in my hand. She consulted her clipboard. I'm also here to inform you of the mandatory weekly mailbox maintenance fee. $10 per week, due every Monday. You're already 2 weeks behind, so that's $20, plus the original $50 violation. $70 total. Weekly mailbox fee? I set my coffee down. That wasn't in the bylaws. I've been president since 2021, Mr. Cole. I know every loophole, every regulation, every option available to this board. The fee covers landscaping around the community mailboxes. That smile again. Everyone pays. Through my peripheral vision, I saw my neighbor Tom watching from his window across the street. Not the friendly wave from move-in day, a look of pity. Another neighbor, walking her dog on the sidewalk, saw Rhonda on my porch and quickly crossed to the other side of the street. Fear. They were afraid of her. Rhonda turned to leave, running her finger along my mailbox post like she was checking for dust. She paused, made a note on her clipboard. Actually, this needs full replacement now that I look closer. That's $200 due in 10 days. She smiled. The kind of smile that said she lived for this. And I understood then. This wasn't about mailboxes. This was about control. About a woman who'd found a tiny kingdom and ruled it like a tyrant. About someone who got off on making people afraid. I'll be reviewing the bylaws, I said quietly. Carefully. Her smile widened. You do that. Fines are still due. Have a nice day, Mr. Cole. As she walked to her car, parked in front of my house, not hers, I noticed Tom still watching. He shook his head slowly, a warning I didn't yet understand. I spent Saturday night reading every page of the HOA bylaws, and what I found made my blood boil. Veronica brought me coffee at 11 p.m., 7 months pregnant and exhausted from unpacking boxes all day. Bennett, is $50 really worth fighting? What if she makes our lives miserable? I showed her the bylaws. Look, Section 4.2. All assessments require board approval and 30-day advance notification to homeowners. This weekly mailbox fee? Never voted on, never approved. She just made it up. Maybe it's a new rule. It's fraud, Veronica. She's collecting money she has no authority to collect. My wife sat down heavily, hand on her belly. I just want peace in our home. We worked so hard to get here. This is about what's right. I pulled her hand to my chest. My mom paid illegal fees for years because she was scared. I'm not doing that. Not to us. Not to our kid. She searched my face. You're really going to fight this? It's not about $50. It's about principle. An online search revealed more. Rhonda Ashford had been HOA president for 4 consecutive years. No other board members' names appeared on any recent documents. No meeting minutes posted since 2022. No financial reports, no transparency. One person running everything. I started a folder. HOA bylaws, violation notices, payment records showing we'd already paid annual dues that supposedly covered common area maintenance. Everything documented, everything organized. Would you fight a $50 fine on principle, or just pay it to avoid trouble? Tell me what you'd do. Sunday afternoon, I wrote an email to the HOA board address. Polite, professional, citing specific bylaw sections, explaining the weekly mailbox fee lacked proper authorization, requesting immediate removal of all fines pending board review. I hit send at 3:47 p.m. Rhonda's response arrived 11 minutes later. Your refusal to comply has been noted. Expect additional documentation. Additional documentation. I stared at those two words and felt ice run down my spine. This woman didn't just want compliance. She wanted submission. And when she didn't get it, she escalated. I had no idea what was coming. By Wednesday, I had 4 new violation notices. Every single one was fabricated. Grass too long. I'd measured it myself at regulation height. Trash cans visible from street. They were in our garage. Unauthorized vehicle in driveway. Veronica's registered car that we'd owned for 3 years. Each violation, $100 fine. Combined total now, $650. 10-day payment deadline or lien proceedings begin. The notices appeared on our door, our windshield, our mailbox. Sometimes, twice a day. Rhonda drove by our house at least 3 times daily, slowing down to stare. Once she stopped, took photos, made notes on that ever-present clipboard. Thursday afternoon, Tom from across the street approached while I was checking the mail. Man, I'm sorry. He glanced around like someone might be watching. She did this to me 2 years ago. Made up violations, threatened liens, made my life hell. Cost me $3,000 before I gave up fighting. Why didn't you report her? Tom laughed bitterly. To who? She is the HOA. The other board members are terrified of her or they're her friends. I've got a wife and 2 kids. I couldn't risk her making things worse. He looked at Veronica, visible through our front window, hand on her pregnant belly. You've got a baby coming. Trust me, just pay it. She always wins. That night, another note appeared on our windshield. Friendly reminder about outstanding dues. Veronica was 7 months pregnant now. The stress was showing. She'd stopped sleeping well. Jumped every time the doorbell rang. Asked me daily if we should just pay and move on. I was torn between protecting my wife's peace and standing on principle. Every teacher instinct in me screamed that giving in to bullies only made them stronger. But every husband instinct said my pregnant wife's well-being mattered more than being right. I decided to attend the next HOA board meeting. Thursday, according to the website. I'd present my research, request Rhonda's removal, let the other board members see what she was doing. Thursday morning, I checked the website for meeting details. The page had been updated overnight. Next board meeting postponed indefinitely due to scheduling conflicts. Posted by R. Ashford, President. She knew I was coming. She'd canceled the meeting to avoid confrontation. If you discovered your HOA was literally stealing money, would you pay to avoid conflict or lawyer up? Let me know. I sat in my car outside the community center where the meeting should have been happening and made a decision. I called a property rights attorney. The certified letter arrived on Friday. This time, Rhonda had crossed into outright fraud. Official HOA letterhead, Rhonda's signature. Mandatory weekly mailbox maintenance assessment, $10 per week, retroactive to move-in date. Total due, $120. Payment required within 7 days or lien proceedings begin immediately. Retroactive. She was billing us for weeks we'd already lived here. The attorney's office called back Monday morning. Jennifer Chen, property rights specialist. Her voice was serious. Professional. Mr. Cole, what you're describing is fraud and potentially racketeering. But I need you to understand, fighting this will get ugly before it gets better. She'll escalate. Are you prepared for that? I looked at Veronica, 8 months pregnant now, sitting on our couch surrounded by baby clothes we'd been organizing. Our daughter, we'd decided to name her Riley, would be here in 4 weeks. I'm prepared. Then here's what we do. Document everything. Install security cameras if you can. They're legal on your own property in Oregon. Don't engage with her directly. Let me handle all communication. That afternoon, I walked the neighborhood. Talked to 5 other homeowners. 3 were paying the weekly fee out of fear. 2 had fought and lost. Rhonda had filed liens, forced them to refinance to pay her off. An elderly couple 2 streets over told me their story. Lost their home last year over $4,000 in Rhonda's fines. Foreclosure. They'd lived there 22 years, raised their kids there. Gone because they couldn't afford to fight and couldn't afford to pay. She destroyed us, the wife said, tears in her eyes. Please, don't let her do it to you too. I wrote my formal response that night. Cited Oregon revised statutes on HOA governance, board approval requirements, due process violations, refused all fines pending legal review, sent it certified mail. The attorney called back Monday morning. Her voice was serious. Mr. Cole, what you're describing is fraud and potentially racketeering. But I need you to understand, fighting this will get ugly before it gets better. She'll escalate. Are you prepared for that? I looked at Veronica, 8 months pregnant now, and said yes. I had no idea what escalate really meant. The attorney's advice was simple. Document everything. Because Rhonda's next move would be her most aggressive. Jennifer Chen, the property rights attorney, walked me through the strategy. Mr. Cole, when she escalates, and she will, you need proof that can't be disputed. Install security cameras on your property. They're completely legal in Oregon for your own surveillance. That afternoon, I ordered a Ring doorbell and 2 driveway cameras. $200 I couldn't really afford, but cheaper than Rhonda's fraudulent fines. The cameras arrived Wednesday. I installed them Thursday morning before school. Veronica watched from the window, 9 weeks from her due date, hand resting on her belly. When I came back inside, she said the words I'd been dreading. Bennett, what if this affects the baby? All this stress. Maybe we should just pay and move on. The guilt hit me like a punch. My pregnant wife shouldn't be dealing with this. Our daughter, Riley, we decided to name her, deserved to come into a peaceful home, not a war zone. But I thought about that elderly couple. 22 years in their home. Lost everything because Rhonda wanted control. This is about protecting our family, I said, pulling Veronica close. She can't be allowed to do this. Not to us, not to anyone. Thursday afternoon, I compiled everything into a 3-ring binder. Every violation notice, the HOA bylaws, Oregon revised statutes on HOA governance, Jennifer's consultation notes, written statements from Tom and 2 other neighbors willing to testify about Rhonda's pattern of abuse. The Ring cameras started capturing immediately. Rhonda drove by 6 times on Friday. 6. I watched the footage that night, her car slowing in front of our house, her face visible through the windshield. Once she actually stopped, got out, took photos of our house from the street, made notes on her clipboard. Saturday morning, a new notice arrived. Final demand. Total fines due, $770, payment required within 72 hours or lien filing proceeds Monday 9 a.m. Would you install cameras to catch HOA harassment? Have you ever had to defend your own property? Comment below. Veronica read the notice and started crying. I held her while our daughter kicked against my hand. 3 weeks until Riley's due date. 3 days until Rhonda tried to put a lien on our home. Friday night at 11:47 p.m., my phone buzzed. Motion alert on the driveway camera. I pulled up the footage expecting a raccoon or a cat. Instead, I saw Rhonda Ashford, in the dark, with a flashlight, standing on my property, taking photos of my trash cans positioned inside our garage, trespassing, on camera, time-stamped, crystal clear. She had no idea those cameras were recording. That footage would save my life and destroy hers. It was 2:23 p.m. on a rainy Tuesday when Veronica called my classroom. Her voice was tight with pain. Something's wrong. I was teaching 4th grade geography. 23 kids learning about the Oregon coast. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Veronica's name on the screen. She never called during school hours. Instant dread. I stepped into the hallway. What's wrong? I was mopping the kitchen floor. Her breathing was wrong, short, scared. Heard the doorbell, rushed to answer. I slipped, Bennett, landed hard on my side. The baby. Something doesn't feel right. I'm coming, right now. I ran back to my classroom. Told my aide to take over. Grabbed my keys, 12-minute drive home. I made it in 8, breaking every speed limit on Cedar Avenue. Veronica was on the kitchen floor when I burst through the door. Pale, holding her belly with both hands, blood on her clothes. Bennett. Her voice broke. I can feel her moving, but something's wrong. There's blood. My hands shook as I dialed 911. My wife is pregnant. 7 months. She fell. She's bleeding. The dispatcher's voice was calm, professional. Stay calm, sir. I'm dispatching an ambulance to your location now. Estimated arrival 15 to 18 minutes. Keep your wife comfortable and still. 18 minutes? I looked at Veronica. More blood. That's too long. I'm driving her. Sir, I advise you to wait for... I hung up, grabbed my car keys from the counter. Come on, honey. I'm getting you to the hospital. I helped Veronica to her feet, supported her weight as we moved toward the garage door. Every step felt like an eternity, her face twisted with pain. Riley was in danger. Every second mattered. What would you do in those seconds? Wait for ambulance or risk driving yourself? Tell me. I hit the garage door opener with my elbow, arm around Veronica, car keys in my free hand. The door opened. My heart stopped. Through the opening, I saw a mountain of wet, dark soil. 8 cubic yards at least, completely blocking the driveway. No gap, no way through, no way around. And across the street, arms crossed, satisfied smile on her face, stood Rhonda Ashford, next to an empty dump truck. I stood there frozen, 3 seconds that felt like 3 hours, staring at the dirt that had just become a death sentence. Then rage replaced shock. I ran into the street, screaming, "What did you do? My wife needs a hospital now." Rhonda's response was calm, cold, like she'd rehearsed it. Should have paid your dues, Bennett. Doors opened up and down Elmwood Drive. Tom from across the street. The elderly couple from the corner house. Young family 3 doors down. 6 neighbors, all watching. Rhonda actually walked toward my house. Phone out, filming me. You deserve this. She spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. Next time, you'll pay what you owe. Several neighbors gasped. Tom pulled out his own phone, started recording her. I wanted to scream at her, wanted to grab that phone and throw it. But every second I wasted out here was a second Veronica needed help. I ran back inside, redialed 911. This is Bennett Cole again. Someone dumped dirt blocking our driveway. We can't get out. My wife is bleeding. Please hurry. Sir, the ambulance is en route, approximately 12 minutes out. 12 more minutes, added to the 6 already wasted. I got back down on the floor with Veronica. She was pale, breathing shallow. Her hand gripped mine so hard it hurt. Bennett, I can't feel her moving anymore. Those words shattered something inside me. 2:47 p.m. I watched the clock, every second crawling, blood spreading on Veronica's clothes, her face showing terror I'd never seen before. Through the window, I could see Rhonda, still there, still filming, telling gathering neighbors about people who don't follow rules, performing for an audience. My wife was dying, my baby was dying, and Rhonda Ashford was enjoying it. She had no idea that 4 neighbors were recording every word she said. The ambulance arrived at 3:05 p.m. 18 minutes that felt like 18 hours. One look at the paramedic's face told me everything. The EMTs assessed Veronica quickly. Exchanged glances I recognized as bad. Professional voices using terms I half understood. Significant blood loss. Possible placental abruption. We need to move now. They loaded her onto the gurney. One EMT saw the mountain of dirt. Who dumped that? The HOA president. She was trying to... He cut me off. We'll need statements. This is criminal. The ambulance pulled away, lights flashing. I followed in my car, hands gripping the wheel so tight my knuckles went white. Sacred Heart Medical Center, downtown Portland, emergency entrance. They rushed Veronica through double doors I couldn't pass. A nurse directed me to the waiting room. I sat there, blood on my shirt, hands still shaking. 3:42 p.m. I called Veronica's father. "Ray, it's Bennett." My voice didn't sound like mine. Something happened. Veronica fell. There was bleeding. The HOA president blocked our driveway with dirt. The ambulance took 18 minutes. They won't let me see her yet. Stay there. Ramon Castellano's voice shifted from concerned to something harder. Don't leave. Don't talk to anyone. I'm coming. 4:17 p.m. A doctor approached. Young, face showing that practiced sympathy they teach in medical school. The expression that means bad news. "Mr. Cole? I'm Dr. Patterson. I'm very sorry. We did everything possible, but the trauma from the fall combined with the delayed care. Your daughter didn't make it." The words didn't make sense at first. Daughter. Our daughter. Riley. My voice was hollow. We were going to name her Riley. The doctor said more words. About Veronica being stable, about grief counseling, about paperwork. I didn't hear any of it. Riley was gone. Our baby girl. Gone. Because Rhonda Ashford wanted $10. My phone buzzed in my hand. Text from Ray Castellano. "Stay there. Don't leave hospital. Don't talk to anyone. I'm coming now, and I'm bringing officers. That woman is going to jail." When Raymond Castellano walked into that hospital at 5:03 p.m., he wasn't arriving as a grandfather. He was arriving as Portland's chief of police. I'd met Ray dozens of times. Thanksgiving dinners, Christmas, Veronica's birthday parties, always warm, always laughing. The kind of guy who wore Hawaiian shirts on weekends and told dad jokes that made everyone groan. The man who walked into that waiting room looked nothing like that. Steel in his eyes. 2 detectives flanking him. This wasn't Ray. This was Chief Castellano, 28-year veteran, Portland East Precinct. Man who'd built his reputation on protecting victims and taking down bullies. He sat across from me. The detectives took out notebooks. "Tell me everything." His voice was quiet, controlled. Every detail, every word she said, every action she took. This is a criminal investigation now. I told him all of it. The mailbox fees, the escalating fines, the trespassing footage I had on my Ring camera, the dump truck, the 18-minute wait while Riley died. Rhonda's words. You deserve this. Chief Castellano's expression never changed, but his hands, clasped on the table, tightened until the knuckles went white. That woman caused my granddaughter's death over a $10 fee. His voice was still quiet, still controlled, but underneath it, something cold and final. She will face every legal consequence available under Oregon law. He pulled out his phone, made 3 calls right there. First, District Attorney's Office. This is Chief Castellano. I need to speak with DA Reynolds. Now. Yes, it's personal. It's also criminal. Second, Detective Unit. I want a full investigation. Victim and suspect statements, physical evidence, financial records, everything. Third, Patrol Supervisor. I want statements from every neighbor present at 4782 Elmwood Drive today. I want that dump truck driver found within 2 hours. And I want doorbell camera footage from every house on that street. He hung up, looked at me. Go be with Veronica. Let us handle this. If you had the chief of police's family, would you want revenge or justice? What's the difference? Comment your thoughts. At 6:47 p.m., 2 detectives knocked on Rhonda Ashford's door. She opened it with her usual confident smile, clipboard still in hand from her afternoon rounds of inspecting violations. Can I help you, officers? The lead detective's voice was flat, professional. Rhonda Ashford, you're being asked to come to the station for questioning regarding criminal obstruction, reckless endangerment, and potential manslaughter charges related to an incident on Elmwood Drive today. The smile vanished. At 7:34 p.m. that same Tuesday, detectives found the dump truck driver at his home. He was already terrified. Dale Freeman, 41 years old, independent contractor running a small hauling business. 3 kids. Wife worked as a nurse. Spotless record until today. The moment he opened his door and saw 2 detectives, his face went white. Is the pregnant woman okay? The words tumbled out before they could introduce themselves. Please tell me she's okay. Detective Rodriguez exchanged glances with his partner. Mr. Freeman, I'm afraid the baby didn't survive. The mother is stable, but... Dale's knees buckled. He caught himself on the doorframe. Oh God. Oh God, I told her this was wrong. They brought him to the station. Didn't have to. Dale volunteered everything, waived his right to an attorney, said he couldn't live with himself if he didn't tell the truth. Friday afternoon, this woman approached me. Rhonda Ashford, said she was HOA president, had cash in hand. $400 to dump 8 cubic yards of topsoil blocking a specific address, 4782 Elmwood Drive. Dale pulled out his phone, showed them text messages from Rhonda's number. Make sure they can't get their car out. Block the entire driveway. I want them trapped. The detectives photographed every message, every word of premeditation. She said it was teaching someone a lesson about HOA compliance. Dale's voice broke. Said this guy was challenging her authority, refusing to pay fines. She wanted him to understand consequences. If someone paid you to do something shady, would you question it or take the money? Where's your line? Detective Chen closed his notebook at 8:47 p.m. Mr. Freeman, that text message where she says she wants them trapped, that's premeditation. She didn't just create a dangerous situation, she planned it. Dale's face went white. What does that mean? The detective's voice was grim. It means Rhonda Ashford is facing murder charges. By Wednesday morning, Rhonda's entire kingdom was collapsing, and she still didn't understand why. 4 neighbors provided doorbell camera footage, Crystal clear audio of Rhonda saying, "You deserve this." Video of her filming Bennett's panic. Timestamps proving she stood there for 11 minutes while the emergency was happening, performing for her audience. Tom from across the street walked into the police station Wednesday morning with a box. Inside, 3 years of violation notices. 47 separate fines totaling $4,200 he'd paid out of fear. "I was afraid she'd take my house like she did to the Martinezes," he told detectives. "But after watching what she did to Bennett and Veronica, I'm done being afraid." The elderly couple from the corner brought foreclosure documents. Rhonda's lien had forced the sale of their home of 22 years. A single mother provided 18 months of harassment records, fines for children's toys, parking violations that didn't exist, threats when she questioned anything. Chief Castellano requested HOA financial records, subpoenaed everything going back 6 years. A forensic accountant spent Tuesday night reviewing the books. What she found made the embezzlement charges almost certain. Rhonda had created a shell company, RA Property Services, paid it $31,000 over 3 years for violation enforcement. The company's registered owner, Rhonda Ashford, she'd been paying herself with HOA funds. Robert Chen, the board treasurer, came forward Wednesday afternoon, shaken, angry. "I had no knowledge of these payments," he told investigators. "Rhonda handled all financial matters. She said she was more experienced. The rest of us, we just trusted her." The other 4 board members told the same story. Rhonda made unilateral decisions, never brought the weekly mailbox fee to a vote, never disclosed her shell company, controlled everything. Thursday morning, Portland News ran the story. HOA president charged after pregnant woman loses baby. By noon, it had gone statewide. By evening, national outlets were calling. Would you come forward with your story if it helped take down a corrupt official? What if you feared retaliation? Hit that subscribe button. This HOA president has no idea how much worse it's about to get for her. Thursday afternoon, the district attorney filed formal charges: second-degree manslaughter, criminal obstruction, reckless endangerment, embezzlement, fraud, theft by deception. Combined potential sentence, 23 years. Rhonda's attorney called the DA's office Friday morning, wanted to negotiate a plea deal, reduce charges, minimize prison time. Chief Castellano's response was one word: no. The emergency HOA meeting on Friday night drew 87 homeowners, the largest turnout in Maple Ridge history. The community center was packed, standing room only. Bennett and Veronica sat in the front row. She'd been released from the hospital that morning. Chief Castellanos sat in the back in civilian clothes. Media cameras lined the wall. Robert Chen stood at the podium, board treasurer for 6 years, face showing shame and determination. "I've served this board because I wanted to help our community." His voice broke. "Instead, I enabled a criminal. The Cole family lost their daughter because I didn't ask enough questions, because I trusted someone I should have held accountable." He looked directly at Bennett and Veronica. "That ends tonight." 19 families came forward. Each presented violation notices. Each shared their story. The pattern was undeniable. Selective targeting of families with children, elderly residents, anyone who questioned Rhonda's authority. Total fraudulent fines collected over 4 years, $47,000. The votes were swift, unanimous. Motion to immediately remove Rhonda Ashford from all HOA positions, 6 Norso. Motion to file formal criminal complaint regarding embezzlement, 6 Norso. Motion to refund all improper fines, 6 Norso. Rhonda's chair at the board table sat empty. Her house 2 streets over was dark. Neighbors whispered she'd been in hiding since the charges were filed. For the first time in years, neighbors openly discussed her abuse without fear. Relief was visible on every face. Some cried, collective trauma surfacing and finally acknowledged. The meeting ended at 9:47 p.m. As people gathered their things, Bennett stood and walked to the microphone. The room fell silent. My wife and I lost Riley because of $10 and one woman's need for control. His voice was steady but raw. But looking at this room tonight, seeing all of you finally free, Riley's death won't be meaningless. She changed this community. He couldn't finish. Veronica stood, took his hand. The standing ovation lasted 4 minutes. 6 months later, Rhonda Ashford sat in Multnomah County Circuit Court, facing 47 witnesses, irrefutable evidence, the weight of justice. March 2026. The trial lasted 8 days. The prosecution presented everything. Dale Freeman's testimony about the $400 cash payment and text messages. Doorbell camera footage showing Rhonda's cruelty. Financial records documenting years of embezzlement. Victim statements from 19 families. Text messages proving premeditation. I want them trapped. Rhonda's attorney tried. Argued she hadn't intended to cause death, only wanted HOA compliance. Didn't know Veronica was in medical crisis. The prosecutor's response was devastating. She planned the blockade. She paid cash so there'd be no paper trail. She texted, "Make sure they're trapped." She stood there filming while Bennett screamed for help. She told him, "You deserve this," while his wife bled on their kitchen floor. Ladies and gentlemen, intent to kill is not required for manslaughter. Reckless disregard for human life is sufficient. And Rhonda Ashford's conduct was the definition of reckless disregard. Dale Freeman took the stand, broke down crying. She paid me $400 to trap them. I'm living with what I helped cause every day. I'll never forgive myself. Veronica testified on day 6. Bennett sat in the gallery, watching his wife relive the worst day of their lives. I'll never hold my daughter. Veronica's voice was quiet but clear. My husband will never walk her down the aisle. We'll never hear her first words or watch her graduate or meet our grandchildren through her. Over $10. Because one woman needed to prove she had power. The jury deliberated 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Second-degree manslaughter, criminal obstruction, reckless endangerment, embezzlement, fraud. What sentence would you give someone who caused a baby's death over a $10 fine? Justice or mercy? Hit share. If you think every HOA bully needs to see what happens when they go too far. Sentencing day came 3 weeks later. Judge Catherine Morrison reviewed victim statements, financial records, Rhonda's complete lack of remorse throughout the trial. She'd never once apologized or acknowledged wrongdoing. Mrs. Ashford, your abuse of power caused an innocent child's death. You terrorized your community for years. You stole from the very people who trusted you to lead. This court will ensure you never hold authority over anyone again. The gavel fell. 12 years in state prison, $500,000 restitution to the Coles, $31,000 repayment to the HOA, lifetime ban from serving on any HOA board in Oregon. Rhonda showed no emotion as they led her away in handcuffs. 1 year after Riley's death, Bennett Cole stood at the mailbox that started everything. It looked different now. Maple Ridge had transformed. New HOA board. Robert Chen as president. Transparent. Collaborative. Community-focused. Weekly intimidation meetings replaced with quarterly gatherings. Every fine now required a 3-day warning, appeals process, and full board vote. Rhonda's house had sold at a $75,000 loss to cover legal fees and restitution. She was currently serving year 2 of her 12-year sentence at Coffee Creek Correctional Facility. Parole eligibility, 2034. All 19 families received full refunds, $47,000 total returned to the community. The Coles received their $500,000 wrongful death judgment. They'd used it to create the Riley Cole Memorial Scholarship for Oregon teachers. First recipient, a young woman from Bennett School pursuing elementary education. Oregon House Bill 2847, Riley's Law, had passed in January. Mandatory financial audits for all HOAs, criminal penalties for unauthorized fees, homeowner Bill of Rights. It would go into effect in 11 months. An envelope arrived at Bennett's door last Tuesday. No return address. Inside, a handwritten note from an elderly couple. Mr. and Mrs. Cole, we're the Martinezes. We lost our home in 2023 because of Rhonda Ashford's fraudulent fines. We thought we were alone, that no one would ever stand up to her. You gave us hope that bullies don't always win. Riley's legacy is every family you protected. Thank you. Bennett showed it to Veronica. They stood together in their backyard. Riley's memorial garden, small oak tree, bench with her name engraved. Riley Grace Cole, 7 months in our arms, forever in our hearts. She was here such a short time, Veronica whispered, but her impact will last generations. They told me to just pay the $10, that fighting wasn't worth it, that I should let it go. But here's what I learned. Injustice anywhere threatens justice everywhere. One person saying no can light a fire that changes everything. Riley never took a breath outside the womb, never opened her eyes or heard our voices or felt sunshine on her face. But she changed Oregon law. She freed a community. She proved that standing up to bullies, even when it costs you everything, matters. So here's my question. When you face injustice in your community, what will you do? Stay silent or stand up? Tell me in the comments. If this story moved you, smash that like button right now. Subscribe for more stories about everyday people standing up to entitled tyrants who think power makes them untouchable. Drop a comment. Have you dealt with HOA abuse? What happened? I read every single one. Share this video with anyone fighting their own HOA battle. They need to know they're not alone. Your property rights matter. Your dignity matters. Your peace in your own home matters. And sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is refuse to be a victim. This is Ephraim with HOA Karen Stories. And this was how a $10 fine became a life sentence for the woman who thought she was untouchable. Until next time, know your rights and stand your ground.